But the Commission is also called upon to complete the internal market. Both less regulation and to complete the internal market are linked together. Because regulatory complexity is holding back productivity gains. It's not just a question of regulating less and more cleverly. We must relearn how to create a climate of cooperation between business leaders and public authorities at all levels. Because my experience, perhaps because I'm a social democrat, is there is an enormous mistrust between both sides. But independently from political affiliation of responsible on both sides, public authorities, especially on a European level, and the business community, we must cooperate and we must strengthen each other instead to mistrust each other. It's what we can do in Brussels, Paris, in London, or in Berlin to create a strong market for new economy products and kickstart investments so that our businesses are certain about our collective commitment. My fourth point, the strong industrial policy must be combined with an effective international trade strategy. Today, this is not very known, but today Europe has a negative trade balance. To guarantee market access for European products, to allow European companies to plunge into opportunities of emerging economies, we need a European trade strategy. Let me give you an example. A free trade agreement between the European Union and the United States of America, the so-called TTIP, would give a huge boost to growth and job creation on both sides of the Atlantic, but not at the cost of our standards. We must make sure that we uphold our high standards. In general, we must ensure that our external policies make a genuine contribution to the sustainable and social development of our trading partners, and that the actions of European corporations, wherever they invest and operate, are in accordance with European values and international agreed norms. Because if the European Union and European enterprises contribute to a higher standard in third countries, this also helps to maintain our economic competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, you should not underestimate. We in Europe, you as businessmen and women, and we as responsible politicians, we are bound to our fundamental values: civil rights, social rights, ecological rights. And we are a society where economy also is bound to values. But other parts of the world don't care about our values. But if those who have no respect for individual rights, for social rights, or for ecological rights, are because they don't respect the rights more competitive than we are, then on the long run, our values are in danger. But the support for our ideas depend from the guarantee of rights and values to our citizens. And therefore, to export our values is not a European imperialism. It's bringing freedom to other parts of the world and protecting ourselves. My fifth point, bringing workers' skills more into line with the needs of the economy. Today, there are 5 million young people out of work and 2 million unfilled vacancies. Increasing mobility in the internal market is only one recipe. First and foremost, we must improve worker skills. Investing in people is paramount for keeping our industry in business. My sixth point, we must support sustainable, resource-efficient industries. Energy is becoming increasingly expensive, raw materials increasingly scarce. Just 20% of costs come from labor, whereas 40% come from energy. Energy efficiency thus has a huge potential for cutting costs. Energy and resource-efficient technologies are becoming a competitive advantage. What we need, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, is a smart strategy to exploit this enormous potential. My last point, we must boost investment. Many countries are still struggling with the credit crunch. Investment is still below pre-crisis levels, and we need to get back to those levels as quickly as possible and ideally go further by improving the flow of credit to the real economy and targeting public spending. Especially small and medium-sized firms have difficulties in obtaining loans. Yet these are precisely the firms that keep our economy afloat. Between 2002 and 2010, 85% of all new jobs in the European Union were created by small and medium-sized firms, particularly startups. We already have instruments like the European Investment Bank and other institutions, the new EU program to improve access to finance for small and middle enterprises. And 120,000 small and middle enterprises have benefited from the EU program during the last 6 years. And I hope that with the MFF we can even improve such figures. But ladies and gentlemen, I know that this is not very popular what I say now, but it is for me absolutely unacceptable, completely unacceptable, that the European Central Bank offers for 0.25% money to the banking system, and partially banks, a part of them saved by taxpayers' money, refuse to inject such money in real economy. And I think we should openly debate that this is a big burden for the relaunch of European economy. To unlock the potential of industry in Europe, ladies and gentlemen, part of the answer is the smart regulation for these new markets. For the new markets, especially created by these startup firms I spoke about. But public investment, ladies and gentlemen, has a role. When I'm speaking about public investments coming from the budget of the European Union, then I'm speaking about taxpayers' money. And taxpayers' money must always be very carefully invested. One of the most encouraging investment levels is, in my eyes, to advance the broadband facilities in the European Union. And this is especially for rural areas highly important not to be cut from urban agglomeration. And here I think, because especially such regions need public investments here, public investment in broadband facilities is an investment in the future of the 21st century to balance this increasing gap between urban and rural regions. And here, public investment is a good example. Here, public investments are justified and necessary. My 7 points, with some, I know, unpopular additions, especially on which is concerning the banking system. And therefore, Mr. Hüter, I want to conclude with your appeal. We need a banking union. And today and tomorrow, the European Council of Finance and Economic Ministers will meet, the ECOFIN, to find a compromise with the European Parliament on the banking union. We, the European parliamentarians, we are prepared to make a compromise, but therefore I think the Council must move a little bit. I will not speak today about the internal debate in the Council, because as a German I must be very prudent about that. And I'm not here as a German, I'm here as the President of the European Parliament. But the European Parliament is prepared to come to a good compromise, assuring that the banking union will be concluded as soon as possible. But it depends not only from the Parliament, it depends also from the flexibility of governments, and governments should be so flexible as businessmen and women have to be every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. President Schulz, ladies and gentlemen.